We're back to give you the legal edge. We've spent a lot of time talking about the new changes to auto insurance laws here in Michigan that take effect next month, but we haven't talked about how motorcycles will be impacted. As attorney Bryan Waldman explains, lawmakers didn't exactly have bikers top of mind when drafting the legislation.
First of all, the important thing to know about no-fault benefits, the big benefit is that it pays your medical expenses. And so if a motorcyclist is involved in a crash because they hit a deer or they lay their bike down on some gravel in the road, they are not going to get their medical bills paid through the auto no-fault system. But if a motor vehicle is involved because they crash into the car crashes into them, or they're just avoiding the car, they are entitled to get their medical bills and other no-fault benefits paid. And this is where it gets tricky for motorcyclists. When we talked about the changes in the law, we talked about how up till now it's always been lifetime medical for everyone, and that you can choose to cap your coverages at $500,000, $250,000, or even opt out. What people are finding unjust or doesn't sit well with the new law is motorcyclists' level of no-fault coverage is determined not based on what they purchase on their motor vehicles or their automobiles, but what the owner of the car that's involved in the crash with their motorcycle purchases.
So that, let's say, as an example, the person in the car has a very, very low, maybe they opt out of medical coverage altogether. So then that would be bad news for the motorcyclist.
It would. So, I mean, you could take an example where a motorcyclist is also a responsible automobile owner and they buy lifetime medical coverage on their automobile because they want to make sure all their medical bills are paid.
Mm-hmm.
They get in a crash, but instead of going to their own no-fault policy that they've paid to have this lifetime benefit, they go to the auto policy of the vehicle involved, which may, like you said, have various levels. Let's say it's $250,000. They're limited to that $250,000 rather than the lifetime that they paid for.
So bad news for some who want to ride their motorcycles, then it sounds like.
Most people agree that this was an oversight. It was an unintentional negative consequence of rushing through this legislation, and there's been promises to fix it.
What advice then do you have for, we got a lot of motorcyclists out there, especially this time of the year, summertime in Michigan?
You better make sure you've got good health insurance and that nothing's going to happen to cause you to lose that health insurance, because otherwise it's like playing Russian roulette. You're rolling the dice and hoping that the car involved has good coverage.
Thank you, Bryan. Coming up on 6 News at 5.